OST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, and more. This is The Hotter Show.
What is up, everybody? We are rolling out of here today in episode 306 of The Hotter Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I got a really fun episode for you here today. I tell you every single week right here on The Hotter Show. I'm sitting down with my new buddy, James Wilson, who has an album coming out in just a few days on September 18th. He also released an EP a couple of months ago that we talk all about, as well as we talk about kind of how we got started with music, some of his influences, being involved in music theater, as well as just a little bit of background about who he is as a person and his life and his significant other and all that fun stuff. So we have a really fun chat, a lot of laughs. James was a great guy and was a wonderful guest. So James, thank you very much again for coming on the show, my man, and also for being such a big supporter. You're going to hear that he's listened to the show since about 2017. So that's really cool for me. So thank you very much for that, James. Before we jump into that, I want to give everybody a shout out who supported last week's episode of the show, in which I did a showcase of my man Matthew Lane's EP, Songs I Play in the Dark. And that was a really great episode, a really great dive into kind of what his thought process was in the writing process and what he's been going through the last, couple of years and even more recently what he's been going through. And I think it was a really cathartic episode. And if you're a fan of his music and of that EP specifically, you're going to really enjoy it. If you haven't heard it, I implore you to go check it out. It is a wonderful, beautiful EP. Dark, obviously, Songs I Play in the Dark. The subject matter is a little dark, but it's in a beautiful way and it's very cathartic. So I think you guys should definitely go check it out. If you have not, you can find it on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. There's just the audio version of it, which is also up on YouTube. So if you're watching the video version of this, check it out. But with that out of the way, I want to jump into my chat with James Wilson right here. Let's get into it. All right, guys, very excited about this one here today. We have James Wilson, who is a punk rock, solo artist is the best way to explain it here on the show today, man. We're very excited about this because I've kind of been inadvertently following you for a little while now. So I'm glad we're able to finally make this happen, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be on here. I've been listening for a long time, ever since you did the WRX review and everything.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah,
that was back in the day.
I'm an OG. What can I say?
Jeez, man. Well, I appreciate that, dude. I really do.
No
that's really cool to hear because that was like Lee, when did that album come out? If you're watching, you let me know. That was like 2017, I think. I think it might have been 17 because I was still in elementary at that time, I think. Wow. That's a long time, man. Holy cow. Man. Well, I appreciate it. And I'm happy that you're here because we got a lot of ground to cover because you have an album that is coming out very, very soon as people are hearing this. You had an EP come out a couple months ago that I want to talk about as well. But first and foremost, what got you into music? Like, what got all of this started for you? What was some of the first music you heard? Like, what got the ball rolling for you?
Yeah, right on. So, it's kind of crazy how my musical journey sort of started out and everything, because I used to absolutely hate music. Like, I don't mean like, oh, I want to put on like, I don't know, like something different. No, my mom turns any song on the car. I'm like, do we have to put this on? Can we just like sit in silence? So it was pretty crazy, actually. My hat just came undone. I think what got me into music is I heard a Coldplay song, Viva La Vida, which I listened to. I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty catchy. I'll listen to that. And I kind of got into their whole spectrum, and Coldplay became my favorite band for the longest time. And I know it's a bit embarrassing to say with their newer stuff and everything. But after a while, I got into bands like Linkin Park and everything, which was like a huge band for me at elementary school. And then after that, I was kind of like, I went from two opposite ends, right? I went from like little like sweet rock to like pop, and then like heavy new metal screamo and everything. And I was like, I need something in the middle. So then I got into Green Day a lot, which was like a big revelation for me. Like they are still to this day my favorite band of all time. And yeah, that's basically what got me in. And then also, my grandfather was very musical. He played like any instrument underneath the sun that had string. Like I've got his banjo and his mandolin right here with me. And I have his guitar, which he can never learn how to play guitar, which is the one thing I had up on him. So he was proud of me for that.
Nice. That's
Everything
awesome.
else
You
I
have
can't
those
play.
too, though.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah.
So we're gonna see some mandolin and banjo coming out on the record, or what's up?
No, not this time. I do actually have a song that I'm working on that might involve it.
Okay.
But that will be like next 2 years sort of thing. I need to properly learn how to play them because I play chords and that's basically it. So
yeah, you're a punk rock guy. You're just playing. That's all we need, man. You don't need none of this fancy stuff. Just some chords and the truth, man. That's it.
Yeah, the truth. Stand up for your rights.
That's it.
Don't let the dollar store employee tell you to not buy that chocolate bar. I don't know.
Oh yeah. That earlier. She's like, hey man, you can't buy 4 of those. And I was like, watch me.
Watch me. I'm gonna put in a 5th.
Just because you said that, I'm gonna buy the whole row. Just put it on the counter. That's great. Well, you mentioned a couple bands that I want to go back to. So like obviously you're a vocalist as well as a guitar player.
Yeah.
Do you play anything else or is it just the guitar and vocals right now?
I guess you can say that I play bass because I have to do it in order to.
Right
I don't have a bass, but I do eventually want to invest in one because when I'm recording and everything, I basically just take this one behind me right here and I bring it down an octave. It sounds pretty good, but you want to get that really big humbucker like bass feel and everything, right? And I sort of play piano. I mimic play piano where I play the chords and I just like mess around with it.
That sounds like something. Let's go with that.
Yeah. I guess what you could say a punk rock pianist. So
nice. I like that. Punk rock pianist. I like that. That's the new definition for it.
Exactly.
So when you started getting into music, like you mentioned Coldplay was a band. And by the way, no shame in that. I'm a huge Nickelback fan, so I got you on that.
And this is how you remind me of.
Yes, this is how you remind me of the fact that I'm a Nickelback fan. Yes. And maybe someday I will not be a fan of Nickelback, but it will not be today. Because if it was my last day, I lost it. Shit. I had to go home and I lost it. But seriously, so when you started getting into Coldplay and that, would you say like, oh my gosh, what's that cat's name now? The singer of Coldplay. Oh my gosh.
Chris Martin.
Chris Martin. That's it. Shout out to Chris Martin. Talented musician. Take nothing away from the guy.
Yeah.
Would you say would you consider him as someone who maybe started to get you to want to play music and to sing? Or was that more like you mentioned the Green Days and the Linkin Parks and stuff like that?
Definitely more of the Green Days and Linkin Park, which I have a story about, which I don't know if I want to tell because I'm going to embarrass myself so much.
Well, that's up to you. I did
it on a different interview. So this is like the low point of like my music career. This is like when I was first starting off and kind of finding myself. This is before I played guitar and everything. It was for my grade 7. I can't say that. I'm going to say this. Sorry. It was for my grade 7 talent show. And, like all the kids up there, they're singing like Meghan Trainor and everything. And they're singing like 21 Pilots. And they're just like, my name's Blurry Face and I care. And they're just like all up there, right? So I'm like, I'm going to do like a really heavy rock song. So I did Breaking the Habit by Linkin Park.
Nice.
And you know what? It was going well. It was going well up until the part where he goes tonight at the end of the second chorus. Because I did it how he does it live, or how he did it live, rest in peace, Chester Bennington, where he screams it. And I'm in grade 7. I did the scream pretty okay. I'm going to say, but because I fried my voice, I couldn't hit the really, really high notes where it's like, I'll paint it on the wall. And it was like, whoa.
It just came out like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, geez, Rick.
Yes. Thank you for getting that reference.
Oh, dude, I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan. I can't wait for the season finale to come out. I'm pumped for it. Yeah, no, I made a lot of kindergartens cry that day. So
that's great though. That's a fun story. Like the fact that you fried your voice out and couldn't hit the note. If that's just fun, that's whatever. It happens to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not that exact way, but everyone has like a thing where they fry their voice or whatever, and it's like, now what do I do?
Exactly.
That's fantastic, man. So when obviously getting into these bands and that, was there a certain point for you when you were like, okay, I want to actually start singing? Like so was it right around grade 7 that you kind of started to really try and sing, or?
Yeah, kind of. So what happened was I kind of took a break from singing because I was kind of like, maybe I'm not good at this sort of thing. Like I got laughed at that year and I was very like insecure. Sure. And that's the reason why I listened to these bands, because I felt very insecure at that time. I did not like the spotlight too much. I was like shaking every time I got up on stage when I ever had to do something. And it was coming around to Remembrance Day. And I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll ask my teacher if I can do something, because I think it'd be a cool thing for me to do. So, and this is like right after I got into Green Day and everything. So I go up to her and I said, hey, do you think I could do something for the Remembrance Day ceremony? Because she was running it. And I was just like, yeah, I would love to do something. I like 21 Guns or something by Green Day. And she was like, yeah, you can do it for sure. And I was like, oh, okay, now I actually have to do this. So
you said no.
I was like, I was just gonna put myself out there. Yeah, kind of. But I didn't know how to play guitar, and I didn't want to do it to the backing track because the backing track is very heavy. It's a bit more of a solemn ceremony. So she played the guitar for me, and I was like, this is cool and all, and I want to do stuff my way as well, because I like having that sort of variety of doing songs in your own style. But then I was like, I know how to play guitar. So that Christmas, my mom got me my first guitar, which is right over there. Actually, I've got it packed away for university. And so I start playing or whatever. And I get like, I'm playing like, whatchamacallit, Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, but just like the 4 notes, right?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, cause my uncle was just like, just play that and you'll get it. You'll get the fingering down or whatever. And my grandfather comes up to my mom, is like, Aaron, you're gonna have to get him lessons. Like I tried for years to play guitar. It's so hard. Those chords are so hard. 2 weeks later, I've got 5 songs down already.
Nice.
No, they weren't perfect. They were like done. But I was playing it and he was like impressed. So that's kind of how I got the ball rolling. And then when I started to actually want to write my own stuff, it was actually ironically bringing up We Are X again. My mom was like, hey, they're doing a show, because I listened to their album on CD, because my mom was saying, oh yeah, my friend's son has a band. I'm like, oh, they're gonna be all right, I guess. I'll give it a listen. And I put it in. I was like, these guys are amazing.
And they would have been right up your alley too.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think my favorite song off that, Throwing in the Towels, I think it was called. That was a great tune. And I was like, I had that on repeat for weeks. And then I went to go see them live, and I was like, these guys are awesome. They're funny. They're great. They seem really, really nice and everything. So I looked at my mom, like, I want to start a band. I want to play punk rock music. And so that's kind of like how it all began.
That's fantastic. It's funny. Yeah. It's fun for me to hear that, because like, I guess you could say in a way they kind of like influence you to start playing in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fun for me to hear that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lee. I'm definitely sending this to Lee for sure. Yeah. He's gonna be like, "What?"
Hey Lee, we never actually officially met, but I tried to book a band with a gig with you guys back in my old band. So if you see this, I'm sorry about that.
Hey man, I'm sorry about that.
It was funny. My drummer called it off without talking to the rest of us, because it was getting very confusing at the time, and it was at the Atria, and it was just like they were saying, okay, we want $400 for us to start off. And I was like, okay, that's a bit pricey, man. Like, we're just starting off. It's like, okay, we'll do 100. And I'm like, okay, so if each band chips in like $20, we'll be fine. And then he kept like changing his prices. And then, our drummer was just like, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. So she didn't hack into it. She had access to the account and just said, yeah, guys, sorry, we got to call it off. I'm like, what the heck, man? It would have been an okay show probably, but we didn't know that many songs, so it was probably a good call.
Probably, in retrospect, probably a good thing.
Maybe a good thing, yeah, because like it was such a hard time figuring out a set list. Like we had stuff from the Beatles, and then we had like Green Day, and then the Who. It was a weird mixture. For sure,
that's definitely
like,
a strange mix to throw together.
Yeah. But we did like the punk rock version of My Generation. Was like heavy power chords and everything, so it made a bit more sense, but it was still a bit weird.
Yeah, definitely. So was that your first foray into the kind of like the forming a band and stuff like that? What band was that? That was
That was an old band that I had called The Avenue, which did one show and then never did another one.
Everyone has that band, right?
Yeah, it was my first band that was like a proper band, and we had a name and everything, because we did have one back in grade 8, where we played. It was at Notre Dame High School because they had a talent show going on at night. So we were the last people to go on, and we did a Tragically Hip tribute, which actually was pretty good. And like for us being 13, like 14, like I'd say it's pretty good. And actually it was funny enough that drummer who was in my latest band was actually in that former band as well. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was cool to jam with her again after that. But we still keep in contact and everything. So it was cool.
But that's a band too that you wouldn't expect like younger people to be doing a tribute to either. Like I'm a big Hip fan, so that's cool to hear. Actually.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm a huge Hip fan. I'm lucky enough to I got to go see him, just Gordon Downey himself, at We Day, before they were controversial. So yeah,
that's cool.
I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Let's just stay away from the We Day stuff.
I just got a text from Justin Trudeau himself, just like, you better stop talking.
You better not say anything more about that. It's like, okay, bud.
Just calm down, man. I'll bring you a Timmy's. Why don't you?
I'll take me a Timmy's, bud. Just relax, eh?
Oh yeah, man.
I'll bring you a sweet tea. Just relax. That's awesome. But so when did you transition from the point of like you're in a band, like kind of trying to do the band thing? Were you at a certain point where you were like, okay, you know what? Let me just maybe try and do this on my own, or was there any other bands that you kind of were in at the time too, or?
It's kind of weird how it happened. So I was technically still in the band when I started my, like, I guess you could say my solo career before we actually like got popular or whatever. So I wrote down a song that's actually on the EP. It was one of the first songs I ever wrote and was like genuinely proud of. It's called Who You Were Before. And I wrote that down and I put it out back when my voice was like 2 octaves higher. But what was it? I lost a blank there. Yeah, so I put it out and it got like 200 views on YouTube. And like me at the time, I was like, that's great. I can't believe I got 200 views on YouTube. It's still pretty good, like for someone who has 37 subscribers right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
It was pretty good. But yeah, so I put that out. I put one other song out, and then I wrote another one down, and I performed it actually at a show that me and my band were supposed to go play at down at the Atria. Never doing that again. Sorry, Atria fam, if you're listening to this, I hate you. Just kidding. Actually, some of the staff was actually very, very kind. But yeah, and then after that, I was saying I could try and form another band, but I don't know that many people at my school that would actually know how to play drums, and like the same things as me, right? Like even in high school, listening to stuff like Green Day and Fall Out Boy and Weezer, Blink-182, it still kind of placed you as an outcast. Because there were people who listened to that stuff, but they didn't want to admit it. Yeah. Because it's all about like the rappers and everything right now, right? Which no diss them. It's just not for me, right? It's not my thing. Like I can't listen to it personally. But like there was nobody else, and my bassist and I tried to kind of stick together sort of a wee bit, but we couldn't find another drummer, right? So and it was hard, and then especially with COVID and everything, we couldn't get together, jam or whatever. It's ironic because during COVID, me and my bassist actually got up together when the restrictions lifted. Like we were in masks and everything. And we jammed and everything. But it was funny because we kind of show up and we're like, what do we play? We haven't played together in like 2 years, man. Like what do we even do at this point? But it was fun. We just kind of reconnected and everything. And now we're in a D&D group together because I'm a huge nerd. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Well, D&D never hurt nobody.
Exactly. Except the nerds that got bullied.
Whatever. Now there's like, I just saw the other day. It was, Joe Mangiello. He plays Deathstroke or something. I don't know. I recognize him, but there's a wrestler who put up a picture of himself in the gym, and he was like, I don't play D&D. And he was just trolling because that's his thing. Yeah. And that guy responded like I do, and he put up a picture of him on like the cover of Muscle and Fitness or whatever. And it was like, yes. Shout out to the D&D players out there. Never been like, I've always wanted to get into it, but like I'm always like, I know I'm going to get way too obsessed. And then want to start a podcast or something. So
especially because my buddy Mason runs the one that we're doing right now, and he's an amazing storyteller. Like he's going into game design.
Nice.
So he's looking to get into internship at Ubisoft and everything in Montreal. And so I'm like, dude, that's amazing. Like, but he's an amazing storyteller. Like it was after he introduced me into the game, because I kind of started in late because he didn't know if I'd be interested or not. So I join in, and all like some of my friends and everything was like, is that James? Is that James who's joining us? So he kind of introduced me as a villain, kind of turned good guy. But like he has this way of like holding off like cliffhangers that you'd have almost in a show, but like 10 times the amount. And like you're thinking about it all night. You're like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Like it's a bit of an obsession. But we had to cut it off early last time, so I didn't have that problem. So
it's fun, right? Like it's just it's being creative, and it's a whole different outlet.
Yeah, it's make believe for adults, I guess you could say. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things, man. I'm like, yeah, shit, and I'm like, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I know.
I would get obsessed.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Don't even bring it up. That's awesome, man. Well, one thing I mentioned earlier that I wanted to make sure we talked about was the EP that you dropped in July, and that was I think it was the 20th. I think it was the 10th actually. The 10th, yes, the 10th, and that was the Pathological Liar EP. So was that the first batch of songs that you wrote as a solo artist?
Not necessarily the first songs that I wrote. Definitely Who You Were Before was definitely the first song that I wrote, and I was happy with it, and I was like, this is gonna get the ball rolling, or at least I not even just the ball rolling. It's like I can sort of do this. Always Look on the Bright Side was a song that I wrote during the peak of COVID, those first couple months, because everybody was kind of saying, oh, look on the bright side. We only had 1,000 cases today. I'm just like, things are allowed to be bad, man. Like, yeah,
it's okay. It's allowed.
It's okay.
It's okay for things to be bad. Like it's all good.
But I kind of wrote that as not even a COVID song. It's kind of just talking about
I get it,
being in a rough situation and everything, or kind of having these like thoughts of just like, yeah, it's okay to be not okay. And so it's sort of ironic in the way where it's like, we always look on the bright side. Like you're kind of like force fed down on like even media and everything. It's like, just like, it's okay, like spoon fed or whatever, right?
It's okay. Here comes the airplane.
Here comes the airplane. Like, exactly.
No, like,
like, dude, chill out. I'm 18.
I could do it myself.
I'm not a kid anymore, Mom. But yeah, so that was a song that I guess you could say I wrote, and I was like, I like this, and I definitely want to make something around this song. So that song was definitely the song that kind of got me started writing and everything, because I wanted to be productive. I wanted something to do during COVID, besides schooling and everything, because I needed something to keep me mentally stable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I wrote a total of like 50 songs and scrapped about like 45 of them.
I was gonna say, how many are on the EP again? Yeah.
There's 4 songs, but those 4 songs are sort of like the singles, I guess, to another release that I'm having. And then what was the other song? What are the other songs that are on there? I forget.
Pathological Liar, and then Sarah.
Yeah, so Sarah is about my girlfriend, who we will be together 3 years in December.
Oh, nice! Congrats!
Thank you, appreciate it.
Shout out to Sarah.
Shout out to Sarah. Hey, babe. It's kind of cute how we met it, actually. I'm gonna start gushing, and it's gonna be very embarrassing.
Listen, I'm a gusher, so it's all good.
Okay, good. Me and her met in kindergarten, actually. So we were best friends back in kindergarten. We loved the same thing. She was like into Pokemon. I'm like, girls can be into Pokemon too. That's so cool. I'm like, you're my best friend now. We're best friends. And we actually we zipped up each other's coats. She would put on my hood or something like that.
Aww.
So it was cute like that. Funny story, actually, our senior kindergarten teacher called in our parents because she thought it was inappropriate that we were doing these things for each other. And my mom comes in, she sees Sarah's mom, and she's like, I'm so sorry, and because she thought that her mom
complained or whatever.
Yeah. And she's like, no, I find it adorable. So it was kind of funny how that worked out. But we actually lost contact for about 10, 11 years. Until, and this was grade 1, she left. So this was all the way up till grade 10. And a friend of ours, who we had in contact, we had in common, I should say. She was throwing I think it was a Halloween party. And she says to me, while we were hanging out at the mall, she was saying, oh yeah, I'm inviting this person, and I'm inviting Sarah, who used to be friends with Mason, Mason's one of my best friends. And I was like, how does she know Mason? And I'm like, Sarah. And she's like, yeah, blonde hair. I'm like, blonde hair. And I go, no way. And I contact her. I was like, do you ever Instagram or anything? I was not getting my hopes up because I was just saying, oh, maybe she won't remember me. Mm-hmm. She sends me this long paragraph. Oh, I remember you. I can't believe, how are you and everything. And before the party, we actually FaceTimed, and we were saying, I was like, hey, and we were like, whoa, this is weird. Yeah, exactly. And I thought, when I first saw her on Instagram, she is really cute. But then she was like, yeah, so me and my boyfriend, and I'm just I fall over. She has a boyfriend. But lucky for me, she dumped that boyfriend because of it was a weird relationship. She did not like the guy whatsoever. And they dated for a month and never spoke to each other. So it was kind of
those are always successful relationships.
Yeah. So we were kind of in and for a couple of months, we were kind of in a flirtatious area, I guess you could say. We were just oh, have a good night sort of thing. Text me good night and when you're home safe or whatever. And then we were having this semi-formal dance at our school, and she was all the way up in Port Perry at the time. And I'm from Oshawa. So I was basically saying, hey, do you want to come down to the semi-formal with me? She was like, yeah, sure. I'll take the night off or whatever from work, and I'll come down and we can hang out. I said, okay, perfect. And then I think it was a night or two before the dance. What was it? We were playing, do you know what iMessage games are? The pool table thing? Yeah, so we were playing that, and I said, okay, let's make a bet for the dance. If you win, you get $20. She's like, I don't have $20 to give you. I'm like, no, I'll give you $20, even though I didn't have $20 at the time because I did not have a job. But if I win, I get a kiss on the cheek sort of thing. She's like, okay, deal. She wins. And I said, okay, rematch. We'll have to bet.
Best 8 out of 10.
Exactly. No joke. It got up to that point where I was it was up after the first one, I was upping the bet. I think it was $25 at the time. I said, but then I got a kiss on the lips. And she was like, okay, you're on.
Sly.
She beats me. I think we did maybe 20 games. I don't know how she's so good at pool, man.
Why are you so good at this? Who are you?
I'd break, right? And then she'd be like, done. I'm done. And I'm like, how'd you do that? But then I finally won a game, and she was like, okay, maybe. And she's like, don't worry, I just wanted you to win the bet. And so we kissed at the dance to Ed Sheeran's "Perfect," and
wow,
I'm kind of cheesy, right? So when it goes you look perfect, I kiss her. It was the cheesiest thing I could have done, but she loved it. And then she was telling me stories after we got together, because this was a week after the dance, or a week or two after. And we actually said, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend and everything. And she's like, yes, I'll be your girlfriend. And then she was telling me stories about how she was screaming into her pillow when she got home and everything. And I was it was the first time I got into a relationship, and I actually felt like someone was actually as interested as I was into them. Because I had a lot of crappy relationships before her. People who would lie to me, people who would cheat on me, sort of thing, right? So it was good to have someone that I didn't have to date for 1 month and then have to find another girlfriend, basically. Not have to find another girlfriend. That sounds
I know what
bad.
you mean. Yeah, no,
yeah, like, but yeah, that was pretty cool. And then what was the last song? Pathological Liar. This, I feel like I'm rambling on. Sorry.
No. Listen, I've been with my fiance now it'll be 10 years in February. And like,
congratulations.
Thank you. I am that guy too. Like 100%
Right.
What you just described could have been a story I told myself. So like, it's all good. I love that stuff. I'm a romantic at heart, so
I ramble on just in general. Like I get that from my grandfather. They would be like, "Oh, so like, what kind of banjo do you play?" And then it would be like a 1 hour segment of him talking about like how it went. Like I don't know how he'd get it. Like it'd be like St. Patrick sort of thing, right? So Pathological Liar. This is a bit of a change from Sarah. Pathological Liar is about a couple people that I knew in high school, especially like I can say one person. I'm not going to say who it was, but you know those people who are kind of like that lie about everything. They say, I don't know, oh I broke my tooth the other day or something like that, or those people that kind of try to like one up you for the stress. It's like, oh, your dad died. Well, both my dads died the other day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know a few. Yeah.
It's like that, but taken to like 1,000%. Like some of these people would say like, oh, I have cancer, and then the next day be cured. But now they have amnesia. But now they have a record deal with EMI Records, which closed in 2012. Look it up. It's the stuff that you can kind of like just say.
You can easily fact check this. Like,
yeah, easily. Right. And then I actually dated somebody like this. And it was just crazy, man. Like people who would say, "Oh yeah, my brother died the other day, but don't tell my mom about it because she's still very upset." And then you see her mom the next day, and she's like, "Hey kid, how you doing?" Sort of thing. Like, no, not upset whatsoever. I'm like, I'm pretty sure if you had a kid die, like it would be
all hunky dory the next day.
Exactly right. Like it's a bit weird. So that's basically what that song's about. So, that's the song that actually took me the longest time to write, because it had, I think, 5 different choruses at the time. So there was one where it was like talking about like what you're saying is comedy sort of thing. And then I finally settled on one because there was a version of it that I went into way too much detail. I'm just like, this person's going to know and they're going to attack me for it. And if you're listening now, you know who you are sort of thing. You know
anyway.
And it's also just about those people who like pretend to be your friends and everything just because they're trying to whatever, right? Like, especially coming from musical theater background, like as much as I am a punk rock artist, I've also been in High School Musical, Hairspray, Mary Poppins, and Godspell. So I got leads in all of them. So, and there were some people
no big deal or anything.
Yeah. I don't try to brag about it, right? Because people take that as like very pretentious or whatever. I'm just like, you know what? I'm proud of it. I don't care. But yeah, so I was Troy Bolton in High School Musical, and then Link Larkin, who is another Zac Efron character in Hairspray. George Banks in Mary Poppins, and Jesus in Godspell.
Nice.
What was it? When I got the part, my mom put it on Facebook. I know every Irish mom says that their son walks on water, but my son really does. He also changes my water into wine. So like, it was He's
literally
fun, right?
playing Jesus. Okay.
Exactly. So that was a fun one to do because that one was all online and everything. So I was on the editing team as well. And I once stayed up to like 12 o'clock in the morning, man. One of the editors, he was like, "Yeah, don't worry, Mr. Longhour," the name of one of my teachers. Super nice guy. Shout out to Mr. Longhour. He was like, "Don't worry, I'll get it into you." The day before we're supposed to submit it into our distributing team. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to get it done. So I get the file. So Mr. Longhour's like, "You know what, just to make it easier on you, I'm gonna send you the file that he did, and then we'll just take it from there." I said, "Okay, perfect." I get the file in. Pretend this is where everybody is, right? So pretend, I don't know, this thing. There's like one person here, one person here, one person here, one person here, one person here. And I'm just like, you did not do anything with this, man. It's just going to be easier for me to redo everything because my computer is lagging like crazy. I have a MacBook. Like it should not be lagging that much. I don't know what you did to like break my computer. So I just did the whole thing over again because I was just so tired of it. I was just like, you know, it's done. And I sent it in. So it was good. It was crazy, man.
That's awesome though. So with I've been having this huge interest lately in like people who do musical theater or theater of any kind.
Right.
I guess it's just, I don't know, it's just weird fascination I have lately. What got you into that? Like, did you just one day you were like, I want to do this? Because your voice is one thing I noticed right away about you, because I knew, like, I saw like the thing, I'm like, okay, he's a punk guy, obviously, like it's pretty apparent. And I hear the music, I'm like, okay, like I didn't know what I was expecting vocally, but when the vocals came in, I was kind of like, not like I was like, oh, he's gonna sound like a punk guy, but like, because you never know, right? But I was kind of
exactly like, right.
Oh, like it's very much like you can tell that you have some training in there. You can tell your voice is very powerful, and it totally has that.
Dude, you're flattering me too much. It's not good for my ego. It's actually weird. I actually don't have any training whatsoever, like proper training. Like I didn't go in for any training like that. But definitely with my musical theater people, it definitely did help strengthen my voice, because there was times, especially during High School Musical, where I nearly lost my voice because it's hard. Zac Efron couldn't do it. I could almost do it. On the last night, my voice did crack during Breaking Free, but it wasn't too noticeable. It wasn't as bad as like the Breaking the Habit story. It was more like flying, whereas like you can kind of hear it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the original question, what kind of got me into it was I was going into high school and I didn't really have a thing. I did like music, and I wasn't like full punk, like, yeah, we got to do punk rock all the time. I was like, I'm up for any type of thing to perform. So my cousin was like, hey, you should join the musical. We're doing High School Musical this year. I'm like, High School Musical? Oh, I was like, all right. You know what? I'll give it a chance. It may not be like, I never watched it as a kid. I watched it again. I'm like, it's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But so I go in for my audition, and they're like, okay, so what are you gonna sing? I think I sang, I was like Counting Stars. I know it's saying Counting Stars. Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol, because they did it as an a cappella group that I saw at Dwyer, so I wanted to like sort of impress them that way. And then I got a call back, and we go in and we got to audition with everybody. And I thought I was gonna get like, if I was to get a lead, I was thinking like maybe Ryan, like the brother of Sharpay. But no, I get Chad, which is like Troy Bolton's best friend. I'm like, cool, why not? The guy who played Troy quits. Like not even like a few weeks before school. So I'm like, oh, geez, man. All right. So I got called back again to do a Troy Bolton audition with the girl who's playing Gabriella. And then Mr. Longhour takes us in, and he makes us do a audition. And so I start singing, and he's recording on his phone, and that'll come back later. And so I'm actually at a band practice for my grade 8 band, which was the one before the Avenue. And so he calls me up, and I was like, oh, sorry, I missed your call and everything. I was at a band practice, and there's a reason why we call him Mr. Long Hour, because he talks on for a long hour. Love the dude, though. He's like one of the most amazing teachers that I've ever had. And I'm calling on him. He talks about how he was in a band back in the day and everything. And it goes on for like 20 minutes. He's like, oh, but anyways, I'd actually love to give you the part of Troy. And my jaw just dropped. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. And I was a bit socially awkward, right? I was like, okay, thank you so much. And I go into my living room. I'm like, hey, Mom, I got the part of Troy. And she was like, no, you didn't. And so we're all screaming and everything. My mom says, okay, now you need to learn all your lines, all this. And I'm like, focus. So all of summer was just me reading off the script, learning the harmonies, which I did not know how to do at first. I did not know harmonies at all. Like I couldn't harmonize because I had to listen to the track and just hear the root notes and everything. But now I can actually find the separate notes in them. So that was a skill that added on to my recording and everything. I say a lot. I just realized that. And then, yeah, the ball just kind of got rolling from there. I kind of fell in love with it. I almost quit the second year because of reasons that I won't say, just because there was people in there that I really didn't like. Yeah. That kind of ruined my experience. Shout out to them. But yeah, and then I fell in love with it again when we did Mary Poppins, and then we were supposed to do Newsies the next year. And then COVID. And so Mr. Longer was like, okay, we're doing Godspell, because Godspell is like the best way of rebuilding everything. Because he did a bunch of times where he had to rebuild his team, because this was the year that one of the teachers retired. And I was leaving, and a bunch of other people that he was leaving that he was like very close with. So he's like, I'm rebuilding the team again, basically, with this. So that was it was a really cool experience, and I sure hope that I get to do it in university. But we'll see.
That's awesome though, because like it's something where you can take that experience with you anywhere in your musical career, like because once you learn that level of almost intimacy on stage, right? Because it's just you singing these parts that you have to really have talent to do. Like not just anyone can do musical theater. That's something that's always going to be with you, right?
Right.
So that's awesome to hear, man.
I did have to get out of that phase though, where people in musical theater, where they're singing like pop songs or rock songs, and they sing it very much like a musical theater thing. Like say you're singing like a Paramore song, like when I was younger, I saw my daddy cry and curse at the wind, where I kind of had to get rid of that for a tiny bit, because I'm like, if I'm doing punk, I can't go like, so what are you going to tell me to, like, very pronounced and everything.
I would be interesting to hear though.
I know, right? Like Brightside, the musical, where the same people that did American Idiot, we're gonna get working on that. So but yeah, so I kind of got out of that, but I can't switch in between them now, so that's a good thing.
That's good. That's exciting though, man. Like, cause it's like I said, like it's something that's always going to be with you. And I mean, you can tell that you have the vocal chops to do something like that. So I mean, that's exciting. Dude,
you're ruining my ego here.
Well, you deserve it. You're very talented. Like, I mean, and I'm not just saying that. Like, you know, you really have it. But before we go here, though, and I've had a lot of fun chatting with you, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it, man.
You appreciate you coming on. The album,
yes,
is dropping on September 18th. What can you tell us about it right now? So,
the album is something that I've been working on for the past 4 years, ever since I basically started writing music. And it's a 13-track album. Everything that you're going to hear on Pathological Liar, which released again about a month ago, 2 months ago. You're going to hear all those songs on the full album, but even more, it's going to be a very fleshed out story. I kind of did something a bit ambitious, where it kind of has sort of like a concept behind it. Not as much as you'd say like something like American Idiot, but more like 21st Century Breakdown, where there's sort of characters in it. So when you listen to Always Look on the Bright Side, you hear she and he, right? So it's talking about these two individuals, and the rest of the album's kind of taken in the perspective of the guy, because it's sort of like, I guess you could say almost like not really a bad breakup, but a bad relationship and a bad spot that he's put in. And so he kind of cuts himself off and kind of goes into like this really deep era of, her life's going so good, but mine isn't. So how's that fair, sort of thing? And then as the story progresses, he gets better, because in the story he meets Sarah. And then the song Scattered Mind plays, which is another song, which is very punk rock. It's very Green Day inspired. And it goes on and it talks about, I can't sleep at night. I'm waking up. I've got too many things inside my head. I don't know what to do anymore. But it's not my fault. But at the end, he realized, like, is it my fault, sort of thing? So it's got that sort of thing going on. And then as it progresses, it kind of retells the story. In the I guess you could say the final song before the prologue, which is called what's it called again? Not What You Want, which is I think the most Weezer inspired album, which is another band that I really love. Shout out to Weezer, Rivers, if you're listening.
Shout out to my boy Rivers. He listens all the time. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's got a section in it where it recalls some of the songs that were past. So songs like Resentful Loner, you'll hear in there, which is a song about me personally, my elementary school experience, where I kind of felt like a resentful loner, because everybody else was, I felt was very, what's the word? Social and very out there. And it talks about being jealous of the way you think and the way you act, because I want to be like you, but I hate the fact that I want to be like you.
Yeah.
But you hate that I'm not you, sort of thing, right? Because I was very different as a kid. I didn't like sports. I was a bit more of a music guy, and video games and all that. So even though I know now that's not the case, a lot of people feel lonely as
Sure, absolutely,
and everything. But it's just my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a recall to Pathological Liar and a recall to Always Look on the Bright Side, which is kind of how the whole album is kind of centered around that sort of story. Because the first song kind of tells the entire story of how their lives pan out until it kind of leaves you a bit of on a cliffhanger. Because there's a line where it talks about the girl. It's a very weird song, and it's not even like a personal experience. It's just a song that I kind of thought up where it says she's lying there in an alley near her home, another victim of the cold. And it talks about the guy, and he says he's standing there on the edge of hell and earth, where it's basically saying he's on top of a building and he doesn't know where to go, sort of thing. But it kind of leaves you on that cliffhanger where it's like, okay, what happens to him? And you kind of got to listen to the whole album to kind of get the full story. Because it goes in the Pathological Liar where it says, hey, you're lying to me. I know you're lying to me, but I can't prove it yet. And then A Mirror of Your Mind, which actually Sarah is on. So shout out to Sarah again. She's on the album. So it's a duet sort of style where it's talking about, hey, maybe this isn't what we need. We need to look at ourselves in the mirror, and I need to see your reflection and you need to see mine. And what can we do? And what are our differences, and whatchamacallit? I can't think today, man. Commonalities, I guess you could say. And then Valentine Massacre, which is about me being cheated on, and kind of finding out that like you smell another guy's cologne, sort of thing. And then after a night out of the club, and then it goes into a song called Snake Eyes, where it's talking about the girl partying it up, going to the casino, she's betting on the prize. At the end, she's dreaming of champagne because her lavish style is over because she doesn't last the night, which is a part of the chorus. And then it goes into Never Occurred to You, where he thinks that she's still going off and doing amazing things, but he's saying, well, did it never occur to you how I would feel about this? And then it goes into, again, Resentful Loner, and then into Who You Were Before, because he's trying to remember who he was before and who his family was and everything, and how he can return to that sort of state of happiness, I guess you could say, which... Just in case you're worried about me, any viewers out there, I am okay. I just like writing about sad stuff.
Sure.
And then again, goes into Sarah, who kind of brings up his spirits. Scattered Mind, which is like, he's still feeling better, but he still can't sleep at night. He's still sort of reminiscing about everything that's going on in his life. And then it goes into a song called Devil on Your Shoulder, where he kind of hears about... here's that, oh, she's not doing too well, and he's trying to come back to, or she's trying to come back to him. And it's like, no, I've seen the devil on your shoulder. I don't want that. But then he realizes that, you know what, I'm not perfect either. I've got a devil on my shoulder. And then Not What You Want plays, and he realizes that, you know what, I'm not what you want. So go off and find who you are, because I'm trying to find my place. And then as a prologue, it goes into the song that's very, very American Idiot inspired. It's a slow rock song called Stuck in the Past. And this is, okay, I'll tell you a bit of a weird story about this. This song was actually inspired because I went down to an ice cream shop that had that I used to go to as a kid all the time. It was called Scoops Creamery. I think it was called
Scoops.
Scoops.
Yeah, it was Scoops. Yeah.
And it used to be like the place to go down to. And it I went down there and it was a wreck. Like, dude was coming out of a window this big and like handing us the ice cream. I couldn't even see his face, right? And I was like, this is like what I remember and everything. And this is what it is now. So it's kind of saying, I'm stuck in the past because I want things to be the same, but I know that I can't because I'm going off and I'm growing and everything. And then it kind of cuts it off saying, we always look on the bright side, and then we always look on the bright side to it all, and it just finishes off the album, which I think is really good. So now you don't have to go even listen to it. I just explained the whole entire concept to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome though, man. I'm a big fan of like concepts and telling stories, and so that's I'm excited to hear it, man. I'm hyped for it.
I'm super excited for you to hear it. If you can tell, like, if you listen to it, tell me what you think of it, because I'm super excited.
That's it, man. Well, I'll have some links down below, guys. If you're watching the video version of this, down below. I don't think you saw my fingers on the video there, but if you listen to the audio version, again, it's in the description. Check it out. September 18th, the record comes out. I'm super excited about it. James, thank you so much, man, for coming on and chatting with me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me, man. It's been great. I'm on to have me on here and everything. I wanted to be on here, I should say.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later, man.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Listening to The Harder Show right now. Are you in a band? Maybe you're a business owner of some kind, a performer, maybe a pro wrestler, an event promoter, an athlete, or maybe you're just an everyday person who needs some photo editing done. You need a great graphic design guy, and have I ever got the hookup for you? My man and close personal friend, Mr. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. Whether you need logos, t-shirts, stickers, tickets, business cards, banners, menu, brochures, flyers, posters, Facebook banner videos, door hangers, photo editing and restoration, print ads, lyric video editing, signs, notepads, window clings, letterhead, bookmarks, programs, magnets, greeting cards, calendars, rack cards, invitations, envelopes, pens. Jason will work with you to develop a style that is unique to you and that tells everybody just how special your business, event, or you personally are, and you will stand out from the crowd. On top of the fact that he does offer free delivery between Cobourg, Ontario and Kingston, Ontario, message him today right now for a free quote. That's right, a free quote. Tell him about your idea. You got something outside the box, he will make it happen. With great rates and service, you cannot go wrong. I've used Jason literally for everything over the past 3.5 years, and I cannot say enough good things about the man himself and his work. So contact him today on the web at jaybirddigitalarts.com or on social media under Jaybird Digital Arts. That's Jaybird digitalarts.com. You can also email him at jaybird.digital.arts@gmail.com. And always keep in mind that his business is successful when your business looks good.
All right, guys, there you have it. My chat with James Wilson. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. It was a blast getting to chat with James. James, thank you so much again, my man, for coming on the show and for being such a big supporter of the show for so long. It really means the world to me. So thank you very much, man. And thank you guys so very much for tuning in, supporting. Be sure to go check out James. And while you are checking out his stuff on social media, I'll have some links down below here for you. Be sure to check out The Harder Show on social media, as well as drop a subscribe if you haven't yet, especially if you are watching this on YouTube. The video stuff is, I'm continuously trying to make this video stuff better. I kind of had things figured out and then I moved. So I'm kind of relearning my lighting and things of that nature. So it's always going to keep getting better and better. My hope is that every episode you guys tune into, things keep getting better. That is the goal, to always try and evolve the Harder Show, especially, 300 episodes in. I mean, geez, we've been doing this a long time. So I want to try and keep getting better and better as we go along. And I appreciate your support and being a part of this journey with me as well. But with that, we're going to sign off here today. Thank you guys so very much again for tuning in. Boom, video fist bump, audio fist bump, and I'll catch you next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy, guys.